Here we go with another episode of How We Bounce Back. I'm excited to introduce you a career actress known for her roles in This Is Us, The Morning Show, Hawaii Five-0, and General Hospital. She is a dancer trained in classical ballet at Baltimore and Washington Ballet. And I quote from her IMDb, she can be seen in several national commercials as an ethnically ambiguous and aspirational mom. She is an ultra-talented and do-it-all star, Marita de Lara.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you, James. So happy to be here. I'm Marita de Lara and I'm also from the DMV. So
Yes, yes, shout
James,
out.
yes, yeah, shout
Yes,
out,
from a
shout out.
fellow DC
So
Nova native. I love that you're from Baltimore.
yeah,
Love that
yes,
you studied there and whatnot. And now we're both out here in LA. We met on
yes.
Dad's Gone Wild set about 2 years ago, I think, about a year and a half ago. But
Yeah,
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 already.
already. It's been a while. But yeah, I read your IMDb bio. I kind of gave a brief little snippet about it, but can you tell the audience a bit about yourself?
I grew up, born and raised in Baltimore, and I started as a dancer, a classical ballerina. And eventually, when I was studying in Baltimore, I got so good we had to go to DC because because Baltimore at the time didn't have it. I found with like dancing and performing that pretty early on, my strength was comedy. So
Nice.
even when I was trying to be dramatic, I was hilarious. And I wanted to be like Debbie Allen, like she was my everything. And I went to Syracuse University and I got my BFA in musical theater there. And from there, I went to New York and started like auditioning and doing musical theater. And it seemed like film and TV was a lot easier than musical theater for me,
Right,
and
right.
acting was more my strength. I'm not Leia Salonga. I'm not a singer. I mean, I am a singer, but my special thing is funny. And on my journey there, I became a Pilates instructor because I had some injuries from dance, and I have been teaching Pilates and
Mhm.
acting and dancing simultaneously. And I have two kids, yeah, 14 and 17.
You've been up and down all over the East Coast, it seems like. Syracuse, you
Yes.
mentioned, New York and whatnot. Oh, at what point did you move to LA? Did you like spend a little bit of some years over there, or was it like right away, like, oh, this is not working, I want to get in the film right away to LA?
I It was a combination of things.
Yeah.
The Broadway thing, I would get down to the end for all of these auditions, like the very, very end, and then it would go to a name. And I was getting really discouraged. I was like, well, so maybe I need to go become a name, like get on TV on
Yeah.
something more substantial. At the same time, I was dating this guy from LA, this Filipino guy. And he's like, you got to try LA. It's awesome. You'll love it. So I was young and on a whim, I just came out to try it. And he's like, come live with me. I was like, sure. And I came out. That was the first time I moved out to LA. And then 3 days later, I got a big job that took me to Orlando, and
Oh,
I
wow.
just left.
It went back
Yeah.
to East
And I
Coast.
went back. Yeah. And then it took me like 5 more years to get back to LA again.
What a journey. Wow. There's a lot going on. But I'm sure when you got
A
to
lot.
LA, you were like, look at all of these Filipino restaurants. There wasn't as so much
Yes.
in Baltimore and DC as there is here in
I
LA.
know. It's so much better. It's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I mean, I know Baltimore's come up, but
Yeah.
not like here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we met on Evie's set, Dad's Gone Wild, a short film where you played the role of Gigi, daughter of the protagonist who goes through a wild period of bereavement. But I don't know if you remember when I talked to you on that set, I told you that This Is Us is my all-time favorite show. So much tears, laughter, good feels. It helped me cope with my dad's passing in 2021. I remember we
Oh, I
talked
love
about
to hear that.
yeah, yeah, it really did.
Oh,
All the stories, like ups and downs, all throughout life, family, and generations. Shout out to the great Jack Pearson, an example of a selfless and caring dad. And shout out to
yes.
Randall. We talked about Randall Pearson and his adopted daughter, Deja, who you trained in that hospital scene for that labor and
Welcome to
delivery
Labor
rotation.
and
My
Delivery.
wife
I know
remembers
many
that
of you have
episode,
been looking
actually.
forward to this
Oh,
rotation.
good, 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 good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My it was so fun because my mom is an OBGYN.
Oh,
And
really?
Yeah, and I play OBGYNs a lot. And my mom has been head of labor and delivery at a few
Yeah.
hospitals in Baltimore. I feel like it's like breathing those
It's
kinds of
natural
parts.
to you. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it's totally natural. I saw her do it. Yeah, it's very relaxing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, oh my gosh, that show. It was great. I auditioned for that show 7 times.
Oh, wow.
So that was yeah, that was the seventh time, and then I booked it. But out of the 7 times, 3 of the parts were written out.
Hmm.
So they told me they're like, "Oh, we got rid of that part." So it
Oh.
wasn't even like it was a possibility. So I was like, I guess seven's the charm for that show.
Were you able to bring in some OBGYN knowledge to like the scene? Maybe talk to the script supervisor, like, hey, can I throw in some lines here or test things out or talk to the director in that regard? Or I know
Not
it's a
not
big
on that
show.
set.
Yeah, that's hard to really
Yeah.
have that kind of creative input and whatnot.
Well, usually they do let me kind of put in that input, especially when they find out my mom was an OB. But on this set, it was during COVID, so it
Oh,
was before the vaccine. So there
oh,
were still like everybody was in the space suits. Like and the
oh,
director was like when I was like he was giving me direction and it was
wow.
Miguel, the guy who played well, not Miguel, John Huertas. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Rebecca's
he
second husband.
yeah, it's Rebecca's second husband. So he,
Yeah.
yeah, so mainly I dealt with him and everybody else. We were in our plastic pods, and I had to go for COVID testing like every week, like twice a week for
Right.
3 weeks before the shoot, which was
Hmm.
crazy.
That's
Like
like
just go to Paramount and test and
different
COVID test
time.
and COVID test.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But I grew up going. My mom, both my parents worked at teaching hospitals, so back then nobody would blink if they would just bring like their kid with them. So
Hmm.
I was around it all the time. So it just felt like so familiar.
Speaking of hospitals, I've also seen that you worked 6 episodes for General Hospital. A lot of
Yes.
TV shows that you've worked on. Can you describe that experience and also the difference working for TV versus film productions?
TV tends to go much faster than film. I mean, indie film goes fast,
Hmm.
but that like they kept, especially on a soap, they go so fast. You only get 2 take, and
Yeah.
it's shot like a multicam, so you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like theater. You have to go and you have to be on it because the people on the show, especially soap actors, they're like machines.
Yeah.
They're just yeah, and they know those characters backwards and forwards, and a lot of times you just have to fit yourself into their working machine. Same with This Is Us, and like on a film set, it's more like we're all finding that together.
Hmm.
But on a TV show, everyone's the crew has their own rhythm already, and
Hmm.
you just kind of have to fit yourself in like a Lego and kind of
Yeah.
and go with it. And but on General Hospital, it was it was a really sad scene. I get cast a lot too as someone who delivers bad news.
Oh
So
no.
um yeah, so that was kind of hard because it was oh, I did that right before we did Dad's Gone Wild.
Really?
And it was yeah, and it was so great to do Dad's Gone Wild, even though it was there was a funeral because General Hospital was so dark.
Yeah.
And I had to tell this couple that their baby wasn't gonna make it.
Oh, heartbreaking. Yeah.
It was and everyone was like, "I'm so glad I don't have
Did
to
you
do that part."
and you
It was
watched the
fun.
episode back? How were you feeling when you saw it? Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, you just cry. It was so sad, and everyone was trying not to cry, the actress who was playing the mom, she had just had a baby, so it was almost abusive. Like, it was like she was like, "Okay, I can do this." Like, it
She
was
was
so hard
thinking
for
of the
her.
like, yeah, the other out or like an unimaginable outcome. Oh gosh, I don't even want
Yeah.
to go down that
Yeah,
thought
it was so
process.
sad. It was so
Yeah.
sad, but really fun. But I like both. I like film and TV both.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I want to throw some random icebreaker questions at you. These are unrelated to film.
Okay.
And we talked about it a little bit already with Filipino food, but let's talk about the dishes. Name your top
Okay.
3 favorite Filipino dishes you'd like to bring to the cookout.
Oh, then I'm gonna bring. Oh, that's different than than what I'm gonna yeah. Okay. Well, this is kind of funny, but I vegan sisig because I make vegan sisig.
What? My wife would go crazy. She's vegan now too.
Oh, okay.
That's groundbreaking.
It is. It is. So
Yeah.
it's mushroom and tofu. I bring lumpia if nobody else will. because everybody loves Olympia.
It's better to
And
have two trays than one, so don't worry if
yeah,
someone else breaks
yeah,
it.
especially a kid party. And I like empanadas because they're easy
Oh
to hold.
wow, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Good handheld,
yeah,
yeah, things.
yeah.
Cool. Well, maybe let's go back to another icebreaker question that's film related. Who's the most inspiring Golden Globe, Emmy, or Oscar winner you've seen in recent years?
Ke Huy Quan. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
he'd be the winner because his story is
Mhm.
just heartbreaking and beautiful and so hopeful.
Very hopeful. Yeah, casted
Yeah,
as the kid in Indiana Jones and just had the long gap of, I guess, really no roles or and comes back, peaks later on late in life. Like that's I don't even want to say late in life, but that is just amazing that he delivered such a masterful performance in everything everywhere all at once and seeing his emotions come out. It's like when you see someone cry like that, it's like you didn't think it was ever gonna happen and it still happened. So I think that's
right.
probably what he was. That's how his heart was spilling out when he got the award.
That yeah, that just killed me because I could relate to what he was saying, that there just really weren't opportunities for a long time. And I took a break for about 10 years from acting
Mm,
because there was nothing available. Like there really wasn't anything that
mhm,
I was right for. And then sort of the Asian musicals had died down.
mhm.
And a lot of them had gone non-union.
Oh,
And my kids were young, so it was a good time to focus on them.
mhm.
And just I just did commercials because there was no, I mean, and then I think it's doubly tricky being Filipino. And I didn't want to change my name. So to a more Asian name for, I don't know how, but that's like a thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I was told to several times, like, if you want to work, you got to pick an Asian last name. So I just sort of tapped out. And then to come back, I mean, I didn't win the Oscar, but to come back and see that there's opportunities and hope. And so anytime I see an Asian American face, or any person of color, it's inspiring.
Yeah, so fulfilling for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done national commercials. Which brands have you done commercials for?
Google,
Ooh,
Verizon.
nice.
Yeah. Google, I
Some
walked a dog. I
heavy
walked a dog.
hitters.
Yeah.
Walk a dog. Well, how does
Yeah.
that go? Does the dog try to get high speed internet or some good cell phone service?
It was something about like communication and like I'm just like walking a dog in Griffith Park. It was like I don't know. You know how sometimes it's random.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Capital One, LinkedIn, American Express. I've done two national commercials doing Tai Chi,
Oh
which was
wow.
fun.
Yeah.
Special skills because I had to do Tai Chi and be funny.
Hmm.
And my grandma used to do Tai Chi with me. That's my Tai Chi qualification. It's not like I'm this Tai Chi master. Like I just did it with my grandma. But that seemed to be enough and more believable than anybody else on set. So yeah, Honda. I did a Honda commercial. So
Okay. They had you
that was fun. That
driving
was my
one of
car
their
one.
cars or
Yeah, yeah, I got to drive it and I had to be like it was like a big deal. I was like a lady architect. And they kept saying, "You're our lady architect." Like that's like I
they
don't know.
throw
They're
those
like,
marketing teams throw some interesting buzzwords together.
yeah, yeah, that I'd
Uh,
have to point at stuff like, "Hey guys, do this," and they're like construction workers behind me, and it was really fun though.
Those are all like
Yeah,
shot in one day, or do you feel like it's like kind of like a short film where it goes over a course of a couple days, or how is that process?
sometimes it's one day, sometimes it's multiple days,
Yeah.
um, but with the prep and stuff too, because you get to meet the director in the callback usually, so you get a vibe for that, and that already feels like production. Because I go in feel pretending like I've already got it, like when I'm
Hmm.
at the callback, I'm like, well, this is what I would do on set. This is how it'd be to work with me. Let's see. And then when you're in the fitting, that's like really interesting because each step of the fitting has to be approved by the client and the director and the ad companies. You're already
Mm-hmm.
all working together in the fitting. And then the
Yeah.
costumers will like just say everything in front of you. They're like, oh, they don't like that, or corporate didn't like that.
Yeah.
Um,
So many stakeholders. Jesus.
yeah, yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many cooks for a commercial, but they're fun. But they're fun.
Yeah.
And if you're funny, then they're extra fun.
Yeah,
And they're
for
really good.
sure.
Oh yeah, Wells Fargo, Home Depot. Um,
Nice, nice.
yeah,
Those are
yeah.
all heavy
So it's kind of
hitters. I'm sure I've seen you in a
Yeah.
Super Bowl commercial or some of those late night sitcoms like when I was growing up. So who knows? I might
Oh, cool.
check out
Cool.
your commercial reel at some point.
Yeah. I have to recut it, but yes, definitely. It's the
Uh,
hair. It's the commercial hair.
yeah,
Short
for
hair.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we go into deeper questions, let's play a game of door number one, door number two, and door number three. I'm going to show you four
Okay.
slides. Each slide is a major
Okay.
element needed to do on a shoot. And then you pick one of these doors and you get that element for your shoot. Once you have all your elements, you describe to us as a director what kind of film, music, video, theater, or improv skit that you'll make that can outshine anything out there.
Oh my goodness. All right. No wonder Evie wanted me to do this. Okay.
now you know.
Okay.
Here we go. We're off to slide number one, the shoot location. Marita, would you like door number one, two, or three?
Okay, I'll pick door one.
Okay. Door number one, Anchorage, Alaska during December. All right. Number
Okay.
two, door number one, two, or three for the cast.
Two.
A Razzie award-winning actor.
Yes.
Yeah, don't those are not. I've seen The Rock win this, and like, so it's
Yeah, yeah.
not bad. All right, crew. Door number one, two, or three.
Let's do three.
A PA that wears a superhero cape. Yes, they always do. A
Yes,
happy-go-lucky
I do.
DP, and an
Great.
AD fueled with 3 Red Bulls. That sounds
Okay, I can work with that.
depending on if the
I can
AD
work.
can handle all that caffeine. All right. Major
Okay.
prop, door number one, two, or three.
Okay, let's do two.
All right, number two. Wilson, the volleyball from Castaway. Are you familiar?
Oh yeah, yes, that I am familiar.
Legendary.
Yay.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay.
All right, Marita, we have all the elements here. So describe to us what kind of film, music video, theater, improv skit that you can make with these elements that will outshine them all.
I would do a Hallmark rom-com set in, well, Alaska, obviously during Christmas.
Oh, perfect.
And
very cold. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. And Razzie, one of my favorite Razzie winning actors, I like when people come back, like underdogs come back. So like Tara Reid. Like
Tara Reid, well,
from,
that's throwback.
yeah, well, Tara Reid, she did those, what, the Sharknado movies?
Yeah, I think she did American Pie as well, right? I think.
Yeah, she did American Pie.
Yeah.
But yeah, her and the other Sharknado guy, he was Steve on 90210. I forgot his name.
Right.
Ian Ziering.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, do a rom-com with the two of them in Alaska. Yeah, and that the volleyball would bring them together, and the Christmas spirit, and maybe some, like, somebody falls through the ice and it's like one of those like meet cute, but like she's not really in that much danger when he pulls her out of the ice, kind of thing. And Evie and I both love Hallmark movies, so and I have done a Hallmark movie, so I think there need to be more of those.
Yeah, for sure. They could probably make a snow person together with the volleyball as the head.
Oh yes, of course they'd make a snow person. Oh, and it would come together. And of course she'd be from the big city and he'd be the local Alaska boy. It's always the same formula that is soothing. And
we don't usually get that, a local Alaska boy meeting a city person. This is unique. I like it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so Hallmark, that's my new Hallmark pitch.
For sure. Awesome. All right, we'll package it up and we'll send it to Hallmark tomorrow.
Okay, great.
All right, well, we can go right into the deeper questions, Marita. When we speak about your entire career, we talk about you as a Pilates instructor, working in dance, working in TV and in film. Was there a time that you had felt depressed during your work? You seem to be enjoying everything you do. It seemed to have been such an amazing journey, amazing ride back and forth the United States and whatnot. But was there ever a time that you just felt like you work hard, but it just wasn't making you happy for some reason?
Super dark times when I first started way back, and I'm a bit older, and Miss Saigon had come out, and it was on Broadway doing a long run, the first run. And I had moved to New York, and I was auditioning for all of these things. And I talked about it earlier, like having to fit into this box of what was
Mm-hmm.
casting. And musical theater is even more rigid. Film and TV, you can originate a role. Like you
Yeah.
are the first person. You're not recreating something that somebody else already did. And I met with this manager. She was Asian American, RIP, and she's no longer with us, so I'm going to talk crap about her.
Oh, oh my God.
And she repped all the Filipino girls on Broadway.
Mhm.
And me and my friend, who is Hapa, she's half Chinese, half Irish. We
Mhm.
both went to meet with her because we were casting this off Broadway musical, and we met with her, and the first thing she said, and it was so hurtful, she told me to bleach my skin, cut some
Whoa.
bangs. I know.
Whoa.
Yeah, cut some bangs. And she's Asian American.
Yeah.
Cut some bangs, change your name, and lose that black S.
What? That is
Yes,
unheard
yes,
of. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
yes. And then she told my friend she was fat and she should do headshots behind fans, behind two fans, to
What?
hide behind the fans. Yeah, and now that friend is a Broadway star. Um, but and I just like I had this moment where I was like, no, no, I'm not
Mhm.
gonna bleach my skin. I'm not gonna do any of it.
Good.
And
Yeah.
everyone, and but
As you
and
should.
everyone kept, yeah. Well, but the other side was I saw all these girls who did do the things she said, and they were having great success. So that was like, oh, okay, so I have to change so much about myself
Hmm.
to succeed. So that really messed with me for a long time.
Yeah.
That there was no space for to exist as a Filipino American person for so long.
Yeah. How did you cope
Um,
with, did you get away from that or did you stick with it or
well,
how'd you cope?
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Oh.
I looked at him and I said, well, he's Filipino because all
Uh-huh.
the aunties in Pomona were like, his mom said, we saw his mom at the buffet. Um, and I was like, well, he just plays roles. He plays what he's cast in. So I started doing that. I was like, okay, I'll get cast as Puerto Rican then.
Hmm.
Like it's a dance role. I can do West Side Story forever.
Oh,
I did
cool.
a pilot where and I was like, okay, so I speak Spanish or speak enough that I can act in it. I was like, okay, I'll just exist in this space then.
Hmm.
But it was this long period of not feeling Asian enough,
Different
which I think a
identity.
lot of,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
um yeah, it was, and then Phil M Creative
Hmm.
saved me, I'd
Oh.
say. Yeah. I when I came decided to come back to acting after I tore my knee on a Sprint commercial, which I know Sprint doesn't exist anymore. But I was crumping on a Sprint commercial and I tore my knee.
Crumping, you mean like the dancing and whatnot? Like the,
Oh
oh
yeah.
wow, like the break
Yeah,
dancing.
like that, like the hard, because they
I'm
wanted a
familiar.
mom who could crump in a funny way. And I was
Oh
like,
my.
oh, I am the funniest suburban mom crumper you've ever seen. But I tore my knee,
Oh no.
and like in that pain, I was like, I want to come back to acting, and I don't care what that means. And like in that darkness, and I'm just gonna still be me, not change my name,
Hmm.
still, go in the sun, do all the things you're not supposed to do that this woman told me. And and then the young people that were in Philam Creative were like, they started casting me in things. And I'd always say, "Oh, do you want the accent?" And they'd be like, "No, we don't need the Filipino accent." And I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, just speak in your natural accent, like my mom would." And then
Hmm.
I got to play everybody's mom. Um, but
Wow.
it was so much like that time in between of feeling, because I see all the girls that were working on top of that. They were a kind of beautiful that I felt like I wasn't, because I
Hmm.
was like more goofy and they were that ideal. Like they were like the penultimate of like sexy. And
Mhm.
even to say sexy, like coming out of my mouth, I start laughing inside because I'm like, oh my God. Um, it was just horrible, like me trying to audition for these prostitutes and stuff. I was much better as a mom, let me get that off your face, like, or crumping. Um, so then all of a sudden it was like, oh, there's space for this. But it was a long time of feeling like, well, like Ki Hoi Kwan, like, I guess there's just nothing for me. And
Mhm.
if I can't dance anymore as a Puerto Rican in West Side Story, then I don't know what
Mhm.
there's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
hard.
I'm
Like,
tall for a Filipino.
yeah.
So that was doubly thing. Like I didn't fit the stereotype of like petite, save me. Like everyone's like, yeah, you're fine. You got muscles. You're good. Nobody's saving you. Like, so that
Yeah, you
was a long answer.
stuck with your identity all throughout that and not try to lose it or conform to what's not there. Because I feel like in an actor's process, it has to speak true to who the person is rather than try to fit the mold of, especially when there's race that plays a part in this. It's like, come on now. Like why bend my identity for that? So and just
And
they said
it's
like
tricky.
lose the physical parts. Like that's
Yeah,
just
lose my tushy.
yeah, it's
And
too
like,
like come on
I was
now.
like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do any of it. Like it was physically. I mean, I guess I could cut things, but but that was it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I eventually did do Miss Saigon. So ha to her. And it was a different director years later who was like, "No, I want girls who look healthy." So I looked. He's like, "They make money. They're eating food." I was like, "Oh, good, good then."
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it worked out.
Do you live with regret and with any career decisions you've made? If so, how can you take those learnings and make adjustments?
As a dancer
Hmm.
coming up, I didn't really have a real life mentor until I was older. My son's a dancer. So now I kind of pass it on to him that sometimes like success is boring.
Hmm.
Like getting to where you need to be. So I was like, sometimes most of the time you're not going to feel like going to class, but that's the secret to getting better. And he's only been serious for a few years, but he's so far ahead because I'm the dance mom I wish I had for him. So it's sort of righting those wrongs. Like I was kind of wilder when I was younger and I would cut class and cut dance class. And the real answer was to go to class anyway, like to embrace the discipline. I
Hmm.
did later, but the payoff, the prize of dance or any art is getting to do your art. And the great thing
Yeah.
about dance is you get to do it like just being in it. It's like touching the sun. So why say no to that?
You mentioned a lot of cool things, career moments that you've had all throughout TV, commercials, dance. What is your favorite moment in your career to date? And any shout outs to the people that helped get you there?
It's so funny. It's like every job since I came back to acting, you would think I've won the Oscar by
Mhm.
my behavior because I'm so happy to be there. And I'm just so grateful to get to do the thing that to do my art. I mean, like I'd say like with This Is Us, that was a big one
Mhm.
because I really had thought, okay, I'm never going to be on this show. They just like to see me audition. Maybe I'm entertaining them.
Mhm.
And I remember when I got in the trailer, I I was like, I'm gonna touch every part of this trailer. I started like doing jazz hands all over the
Oh,
trailer. I was
that's
like,
so
I'm here,
awesome.
I'm here, I'm here. Oh my gosh, I get to stand with these people. Um, and it was just so exciting. Um, and then when the other actors, especially Sterling K. Bratton, like the way he
Yeah, yeah.
greeted me, it just felt like, okay, I've arrived. Like he sees me as someone who can ball, who deserves to be here. And he came up to me like through the plastic and he just smiled at me and he like looked at me like he's like, "Hi." I was like, "Hi." And he's like, "I know you." And he's so handsome. I was losing my mind. And I'm such a fan. He's such a good actor. And I was like, you do not know me, but I know you. And he was like, yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you
So
worked with him
it's always
before somewhere or in another
no,
show? Okay.
no. No, half the time people think I'm Maya Rudolph, but which is fine. And I will take that every day, all day. I love that. Um, but it's so great. It just those moments with other people like on set or just to know that they see me as an equal when I feel seen by them and then we get to act together, it just feels it's like, oh yeah, that's all there is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the film projects when the writing is really good,
Yeah.
it's so I never thought those stories would get told. And they're
Yeah.
getting told.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on a upward ascending for the Filipino community and creators out here. But going back to This Is Us, was that the most that you had auditioned for any project that you had taken on, or is there another one that
No,
tops that?
I mean, there were Broadway shows. I'd probably auditioned like 20 times for a bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just over and over. Cats, I auditioned so many times and I would get to the very end and then not get it. Rent, auditioned so many times. But that's sort of part of that was like the first show that I was like, why are they calling me so much? And then the more I did it with film and TV, I was like, oh, that's what they do. That's
Mm,
part of this. It's just
yeah.
part of it. Some
Hmm.
shows I'm already in the double digits for. So
You understand the game.
that's just how it is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Oh, I don't think I told you this. I feel like I told you the story. I'll tell it quick. But I
Yeah.
did the Hallmark movie.
Yes.
Um, and I was one of the leads in it. And we shot
What was
in
the name of
Honolulu.
it? I think I saw it on your IMDb. What was the name of it? It was
Hidden Gems.
Hidden Gems. Yes. Yes.
Hidden Gems. And it was so like they combined a bunch of roles into my role. So I was like that person that was doing everything. And at this hotel, I was like concierge. And I sort of based it on Hector Elizondo's concierge from Pretty Woman.
Hmm.
Um, like just very accomplished and the director's like, I want her a little Stepford wife, like where you're like, is she a robot? What's happening? Like, is she bothered by things? Is she not like unflappable? So fun. And the first one of the guy who's what's it called? The guy who the camera loader guy. What's
Like a
one of the assistant
DIT.
camera?
Oh, the first
The
assistant
AC.
camera, or yeah, first AC,
Yes.
second AC.
Yes, first AC.
Yeah.
Yeah, we a lot of the crew I had worked with on Hawaii 5 so they knew me from 5 and they kept calling me coach because I played a basketball coach on 5
That's so cool.
It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
And then I knew I was in good hands. And he was Filipino and he was like totally tatted up island guy. And like everybody, it was like you look at the crew and they were all beautiful and brown and you feel all cultural. And I like the director liked to do everything on the fly. So I'd memorize all the dialogue and he'd be like, don't say any of it. Say this. And then he'd rattle off a bunch of stuff. And the scripty would be like, what do you
Oh
say? I was like, I don't
gosh, nightmare for the
let's just do it.
scripty.
Yeah. And the camera's like, where are you going? What's happening? So we would do it. And I was like stressed out about it, but I was trying to calm myself. And the first AC guy came up to me and he put his hand on my shoulder and we were looking out at the ocean and he's like, I can't do the accent because he has like a Hawaiian accent, but he was like, he put his hand on my shoulder and he's like, it's okay, sister, you home now. And just like
Nice.
feeling his hand on my back and like looking at the Samoan guys holding
So
all of
someone
the
cares. Someone truly cares. Yes. Yeah.
but they all cared and they were
Yeah.
all rooting for me because
Yeah.
I was one of the leads and
Yeah.
I looked like that. And
Yeah.
it was like a different thing. How
They saw you,
everybody
they probably saw you as a sister in a way. Like, we
they
see all
didn't
these.
know, no, they all
Yeah.
called me sister. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, oh my gosh, I've never felt so taken care of. Like it just felt so safe and beautiful. It was such a great moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And
Wh-
that just
When
he gave it to me.
when when was Hidden Gems filmed, or when and where? Like
It
what
was
year?
oh right, it was in the spring, I think before we did Dad's Gone Wild.
In
Because
2022. Okay.
Evie is a huge
Hallmark.
Hallmark fan.
That's how she came across you, or that's how she
Well,
discovered
no, we had
you?
known each other for
Oh,
years. We'd
okay.
auditioned for things together a lot,
Yeah.
because at this point everybody else dropped out. So
Mhm. For sure. How many
yeah,
days was Hidden Gems, and was it in Oahu or which islands?
it was in Oahu and it shot for a month.
Oh, wow. It's a long time.
Yeah, it was long. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really long. So I got to know
It's like
all
a
these
semi
great
vacation
places.
and work, but I mean, you're familiar with Hawaii. You always go there, so.
Yeah, yeah, we always go there. So it was great. I got to see cousins and family, and it got to the point. It was at this hotel, the Kahala. It got to the point where like real guests started asking me stuff, like I was the concierge. They'd be like, where's the dolphin pool?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's go down here." So
Oh, you
and
actually helped
Hallmark,
them.
I did,
Oh,
I
that's so
did.
nice. I would
Yeah,
be like,
it
I'm
was so
sorry, I
great.
don't work here, even though I know the pool is right there. You can see it.
No, I would always help them. It was so
Yeah.
fun. It was so much fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was that was yeah, if I had to pick one, Hallmark
Yeah.
job.
Awesome.
But all that it keeps happening.
Yeah. Just kind of switching topics. One of the sticking
Yeah.
points, totally different topic, by the way. One of the
Yeah.
sticking points in the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes is the use of AI to write stories or for AI to replace background actors without residuals. I mentioned this to Evie in our episode. AI seems to be what the internet was in the late 90s. I don't think there's much really society can do to stop it from happening, from being of mass use in a decade from now. But obviously, we it can't replace humans, right? So, what are your thoughts with AI in the entertainment industry, and how can it affect actors in the future?
I I think that people crave authenticity
Mm-hmm.
and AI lacks that human element. So I think with any technology, it's supposed to make people feel more connected. And my daughter talks about this a lot. She like the uncanny valley thing.
Mm-hmm. What is that?
I guess when you're watching something and it feels human, but it's not quite human, and then you have this icky feeling when you're looking at it.
Ooh,
And
like the Terminator.
I like the Terminator, yes. Um, and I'm a big sci-fi person. So I think and my kids give me hope because they're constantly craving sincere connection. Like my son is he's asked for a dumb phone, like a flip phone, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not really on social media that much. A lot of like my kids will turn their phones so they're black and white, so
Mm-hmm.
to remind them it's a phone. So I think the younger generation craves like that's the one that X factor, that human element. Like when you read something that's from a person, you get a feeling that you don't get from well, you get a different feeling when it's from an AI. You start laughing because it feels like wooden. And I don't know if AI is ever gonna achieve that.
Yeah.
And then to speak to background actors, like that scene I did in This Is Us, and LA's got some, I mean, shout out to the background actors in LA.
Yes.
All the
Yes.
actors that I was acting with, and we had to do a lot of takes from a lot of different angles. And it was the same team of background people they had for the whole season, especially because of COVID. They were really good actors.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, they were giving me something every time, like every single take. And I was like almost crying because it was so easy. They made
Yeah.
it so easy for me. And
Yeah.
like an AI thing can't do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I've done I did an Applebee's commercial with the apple, but it was
Mm-hmm.
like a tennis ball, like a PA holding an apple. Like a tennis ball that's supposed to be Wanda Sykes as an apple.
Interesting.
And of course I can do it and make it happen, but that magic, like the magic of theater, of that human connection, they haven't, I think that's the soul. I don't think that can be replicated. So even if the market is flooded with it, I do think humans will rise.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
humanity will always rise up. I have to believe that. I'm a sci-fi person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, bring it. Let's see what you got, AI. I'm not scared of you.
This is a mandatory question I ask every guest on the show.
Okay.
But if there's one big piece of advice you could share with the audience, what would that be?
Get up.
Get your ass
That'd be the big
up.
one.
Yes.
Get back up. Get back up.
Yeah.
I do that to myself.
Yeah.
I say that to myself a lot. Like, get back up. Come on. Come on, girl. Get up. Because I do want to give up a lot. But
Mhm.
I just talk myself into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're your own best friend. Yeah. You're your own
Oh yeah.
coach. You're your own mentor in a way. So,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good, definitely a good reminder because people can, the fact that people just don't even start to do something like getting to the gym, just like, for example, I'm just going to use the gym analogy. The hardest part about the
Oh
gym is
yeah.
just getting to the gym, you know? And so just
Yeah.
getting up and getting into that process, you could use that analogy for every aspect of life. Whereas like taking a leap of faith to a new passion, take going to that audition, getting up and actually typing that script, but yeah, just starting it is half the battle for so many people. And I think that's just two words that you had said that is so simple, but way so heavy for
It weighs
people
so
to do.
heavy. And,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to suck.
Yeah.
Like, be terrible. Like, do it anyway because like I tell my son all the time, like he's like, "Well, I'm not good at that dance style." I was like, "Yeah." And the only way you get better is by being bad. Like
Hmm.
go and be the worst person in the class. And each time you go, you'll get better and better. And it's the same with acting or any of it. Like just be terrible. Write that terrible script. Let it be the
Hmm.
worst. Actually, it's one of my acting teachers who I love. He's like, do the worst version of this scene. Like, give me like bad acting right now. Just get it out of your system. Like,
Yeah.
have your crappy take.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's true for writing too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just get used to failing because that will get you closer.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
more people go through the repetition, it just gets mastered eventually. I
eventually. Yeah,
I've heard that, and I'm sure you could relate to this analogy because you've done it so many times. Going to auditions, going to different gigs and whatnot, up and down film, TV, and commercials, dancing. But someone had mentioned like if someone had 6 months to make clay pots, and it's like would the first person that makes two clay pots in the 6 month make it better than the other person that makes 10 clay pots? And everyone would think it's like the person that does the two clay pots because it's like, they have more time to focus on two clay pots. But it's really the person that does 10 of them because they do it so many times. So they're practicing and they're practicing, they're refining. So when they get to the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, it's better and better and better. Even though they had less time to spend on the specific pot than the other person, they actually had completed the task so many different times and it eventually gets mastered. So um yeah, I think you definitely have shown that throughout your career. And I think that's what a lot of people can try to do is just don't be afraid to fail. Even though it's so many times, it can definitely get debilitating. But if you also understand the game too with auditions, like clearly. So it's just like understand the system out here, right? It's
yeah. I mean, you
right.
have to get your nose, and you
Yeah.
have to get used to that. It's brutal. I feel like the nose are so,
Mhm.
but it does toughen you up to get those no's and then to fill yourself back up again. And I did stand up for a while because I am
What?
funny.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
no way. When this was not in any
No,
IMDb
no,
resume I've
I
seen,
kind of
so
I kind of hide it.
yeah,
Um because the hours were really hard for me once I had kids. It's like a late night life
yeah.
and and but it's like boxing. You get up
Oh,
and you get so used to failing. It's
mhm,
almost like fun.
yeah.
Like, I know everyone's talking about the Golden Globes with Joe Coy and that
Hmm.
he bombed, but a
Hmm.
pro, there's something almost fun about bombing. Like, oh, look at that. I can still bomb. That's kind
Yeah,
of cool.
he
Like, it's kind of
he took
like,
it
oh,
so
I'm
well.
still,
He gave himself an A+ with that, and I'm like, why not give himself an A+? Like he took it in 10 days, right? Yeah, I'm sure the writers and him just didn't have enough time to really come up with something creative, or that would sit well with that specific audience, right? I'm sure the Golden Globes audience is totally different than a Joe Coy audience, like in the forum and whatnot. So again, they also just had little time to prepare. So for him to say I get an A+ for this, and like if I said no, like there are a lot of people that said no. I think Chris Rock said no or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
everybody said no.
yeah, but if he said no, this moment might not come back for him. And so
Right.
so
No, I admire that. Like falling on your face and getting back up, it's great because that's when you win. You
yeah.
get back up after that. And I have bombed spectacularly on many stages. I have biffed it in auditions so many times. We all do crappy takes and you're like, oh, that was a stinker. You kind of,
But you have to try it. You have to see if the audience is gonna laugh, right? Like
yeah,
where else are you gonna try that out? It has to be
right. But
spoken.
then you see athletes, they fail all the time. Like
Oh
most of the
yeah.
time they're failing.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like that just just like I've tricked myself. I'm like, well, I'm closer to success every time I fail.
Yeah.
It's a little, but that's I think it takes a little bit of being Pollyanna or delusional to
Yeah.
continue to succeed.
Yeah.
But but yeah, stand up will whatever that is for people. I think
Yeah.
just face that demon, like face that dragon
Yeah.
and let it kill you for a second. Like, oh,
Or the silence in the room, or
the
oh
silence, the horrible
yeah,
silence.
yeah,
So
gosh,
so yeah.
my heart would drop. I couldn't take it.
Yeah, but then you're still alive. You still like
Yeah.
go and you can get waffles after. Like it's fine. Like nothing bad happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you still have your life. Nothing changed. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I've seen comedians at Comedy Store. There would be night where they're just trying out new lines, and it's just, they have to just try it out
You
for
have
to
to.
before it gets to a bigger audience. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, not every time someone throws a dart to a dartboard, it's gonna hit the bullseye. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I love film and TV because then they get that good take and then that's what they that's what they use.
Yeah.
They're not gonna air your stinky take.
That's when you push the AD. You're like, nope, not moving on yet. Can we just get another one?
Yeah, I just need one more. Yeah. Yeah. Most of the directors I work with, like we feel it. Like everybody feels it. You're like, okay, we can move on. We got it. We got it. So
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, last question before we sign off, Marita. Would you ever
Okay.
pass to go on Squid Game's contestant show, or even riskier, would you ever join a rebooted series of Fear Factor and take on some balut?
I would just eat bullet on my own.
Oh, you like
But
balut? Wow, that's awesome. That's
I would eat it with rice.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
All right,
I can eat like gross
throw
Filipino food.
throw some
Um,
salt on it.
yeah, but um I don't like those kinds of things like Squid Game or I like to watch or Fear
Yeah,
Factor
yeah.
because I feel like being an artist, my life is already a tightrope.
Mhm,
Like you're already there's so much risk.
mhm.
You're asked to bare your soul.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're already naked emotionally. So that other stuff, I'm like, I don't need the thrill. Like roller coasters, no. Like I'm gonna sit here and watch because I feel like we only have so much energy to allocate towards risk.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
already have all my energy and risk in my profession. So yeah, no. Nope, not gonna do that. Not gonna do any of that stuff. No.
It's an extra anxiety to be like, oh, am I gonna get eliminated this week? Like, or do
No,
I?
I would rather
Yeah.
I'd rather go up at the comedy store again. Yeah, that'd be fine. I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate Marita for joining us on the show. It's an honor to have you speak about your acting and dancing career and bringing all the good vibes around. You're amazing with all your creative work, and we're excited to see you next time in our family room TVs. Me and my wife will be watching sometime down
Oh,
the road.
cool. Thank you. Thank you. And I
Yeah.
hope to work with you again because we had so much fun.
Yes, for sure. Yes, God willing, for sure. Well, thanks again.
Yes.
Salamat sa
Thanks,
ingat
James.
mo. Next time, next
Oh,
time.
salamat.
I remember when you'd email me when I first reached out as AD, you would say, Oi, this is Gigi.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
Gotta
It's
get
so
out.
fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
gotta get our famous Filipino Tagalog words out there.
Of course. Of course.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. How We Bounce Back Season 3 continues next week. Wednesday, another new episode with Randy Torres, a fellow Filipino actor that's making waves in the industry. Stay safe, stay healthy as always. She's Marita. I'm James. See you all next week.